that while the notorious terrorist Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi himself has been eliminated, he still has a network, and it has Turkey in its crosshairs. A major raid made by counterterrorism security officials here in Turkey, they thwarted a plot by Daesh to attack National Day celebrations here. That's not surprising because al-Baghdadi himself in 2016 declared all-out war against Turkey as Turkish forces and the Free Syrian Army back then had launched an operation against Daesh strongholds in northern Syria. So while al-Baghdadi himself may no longer be alive, it seems certainly that he has a network that's targeting Turkey, it's targeting other Muslim countries. And that's important to remember, is that the fight will continue against Daesh. This requires intelligence-led operations. We saw also from Turkey that it played a role in providing intelligence to the United States that helped eventually lead to the killing of al-Baghdadi. It was just last year that Omar Yaktek, a senior Daesh figure who was close to al-Baghdadi, was captured by Turkish security forces. And earlier this year, Ismail al-Athawi, a key courier for al-Baghdadi, was also captured by Turkish security forces. That intelligence, we are told, played an important role in helping U.S. Special Forces complete their targeting package to know about Baghdadi's movements and eventually locating him and taking him out. So Turkey playing an important role here on the war on terror against Daesh.
There's no question that there are sort of Daesh cells not only throughout Turkey, but also in Syria and Iraq. What do you think is going to happen to them now that their leader, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, has been killed?
Look, this is definitely a big blow to Daesh, to the terror network. Its caliphate has been destroyed, its leader has been taken out, and even his second-in-command has been taken out. But they still have a residual capability. There's still sleeper cells in Iraq, in Syria. They're still plotting attacks. They no longer have the ability to launch international attacks, but the threat is still there. We heard from Secretary of Defense Mark Esper saying that over 100 Daesh fighters, many of them foreign fighters, were either released or escaped from YPG-held territory. So that's a big concern. Many regional observers are looking at what happens to the Daesh prisoners. Some of whom have been released. Are they going to go back? Are they going to try to regather and reconstitute their terror network? So that's something we have to keep an eye on. And of course, with Turkish forces and the Syrian National Army in northern Syria between Tel Abyad and Ras al-Ain, is expected to form a buffer zone that will prevent the ability of Daesh to reform. But a lot of questions now on what happens in the far-flung Syrian desert in eastern Syria and Deir ez-Zor on the Iraqi border. Will Daesh be able to reconstitute and reform? So a lot of questions there. But one thing is clear here, Ali Jean, if you don't have intelligence sharing, if you don't have cooperation amongst all the countries in the region, to include Turkey, the United States, and the other Muslim countries in the region, Daesh will be able to find a way to come back.
All right. Talk to me about how a post-Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi Daesh compares to a post-Osama bin Laden with al-Qaeda. Are there some similarities there, or is it sort of completely different? Because when you sort of compare the leaders of the organizations, there aren't a lot of similarities. Two very different men. But if you were to put sort of like the potential future of Daesh after the death of Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, how does that compare to post-Osama?
Well, the history of these terror organizations offers some really important lessons learned here. One, that Daesh tried to establish a state of its own that governed millions of individuals, fell under the control of al-Baghdadi and his so-called caliphate. Of course, that has been subsequently destroyed. When we look at what happened with Osama bin Laden, he was taken out by U.S. Special Forces, but that terror network still survived. It is, in fact, in some instances, it expanded, it established franchises, a decentralized terror network. So you may be able to take out the leader, but you have to also look at the network as a whole. So here we may be seeing a similar case with Daesh. You may be able to take out the leader, take out some of the key individuals surrounding al-Baghdadi, but others may try to come in and fill that gap. So it's a matter of vigilance and continuing, not only just celebrating the death of al-Baghdadi, but continuing to do what is necessary to target these extremists and to ensure that they are not able to have the necessary space to reconstitute their terror network, which poses a threat to Turkey, to the region, to the United States, to humanity in general. So very important to learn those historical lessons in the fight against al-Qaeda and the fight against Daesh before. We have seen Daesh make a comeback before. Remember, prisoner releases were a big part of that strategy, so something to keep an eye on.
And that's what the U.S. is doing in terms of sending equipment to actually sort of secure the oil field so that they actually won't be able to sort of start reeling in some money. All right, Oubai Shahbandar.